What's up, everyone? And welcome to Game Pass in Review, where we review the games on Xbox Game Pass so that you know if they're worth your time. I'm Kevin, aka the Muffin Mon, and I'm joined by Aman today for a little two-person review. Aman, how you doing?
I'm doing great, dude. Just got back from watching No Way Home. Absolutely insane. Full of surprises. And
I
yeah.
was so jealous. I was so jealous. I'll see you Friday night. So 2 more days from the time of recording. In roughly 48 hours, I'll be sitting in the theater watching No Way Home. I did see a spoiler this morning. It was a spoiler I had already been spoiled on, though.
Mhm.
We're not going to talk about it, but
Right. Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
understand why people need to spoil things. It's just something I don't really get.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of stuff got leaked beforehand. I'm telling you,
Mhm.
there's a lot more surprises in the movie. A
Right.
lot more surprises. Yeah.
That's good to hear. But we're not here to talk about Spider-Man or No Way Home. We are here to talk about the big game this year from Xbox. It is Halo Infinite. Just launched on Xbox Game Pass last week. The campaign multiplayer has been in beta and now it's fully out. That's been out since November 15th. But I've beaten the campaign. You've beaten the campaign. I know Garrett has, but he can't make it. And Tom is like one level in or something. But we're not waiting for them. We're going to sit down. Me being the Halo veteran, having played every game, you being the Halo newcomer. And right off the bat, I want to know your overall impressions of the campaign. What did you think? Being like this is your real first Halo campaign.
Yeah. All right. So, my thoughts on the game. I absolutely loved it, dude. It was everything from gameplay to the campaign. This is probably one of the best shooters like I've ever played in terms of like gameplay, campaign, all of it. Like I enjoyed every single mission in this game. Each boss fight was like unique and different in its own way. The game wasn't diluted with weapons like how COD games are. They kept it simple. And
Mhm.
yeah, as someone who's new to the franchise, I feel like this is the perfect game to get started with. And now after completing this game, I like have the sudden urge to go back and play all the previous game and catch up on the lore I missed out on. And yeah, this is easily one of the greatest shooters I've ever played.
That you worried me there because I was looking at your facial expression. You're probably doing it on purpose. I was like, oh no, he hated it. But that
Yeah,
makes
guys, I
me.
got an A in high school drama, so like I guess.
Well, it makes me happy to hear that you really liked it because I absolutely love this game. I've been talking about it nonstop on Twitter. Basically, if you're a human being that is willing to listen to me talk about Halo right now, I will talk to you about Halo. I loved this story from the minute that opening cutscene, which we're not going to spoil. You should really go experience it for yourself at Game Pass or just go buy the game because it's definitely worth $60 for this campaign. But that opening cutscene right away, I'm like, oh my God, Halo's back. Let's go. And then you go through a few levels, then you get to the open world. And this was a big, concern for me. And I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think the way that they handled everything was so expertly crafted. The like you said, we know the gameplay feels good. The multiplayer is phenomenal in terms of a first person shooter, but they really nailed the campaign, in my opinion. I absolutely adore this game. If you don't mind me asking, how long did it take you to beat the game, and what difficulty did you play on?
Okay, so I played on normal, and
Okay.
it took me exactly 6 hours and 45 minutes to beat it.
Okay. Did
Right.
you
Yeah.
did you mainline the story then?
I just did the campaign missions. I didn't
Okay.
do any side
Yep.
quests, nothing.
That
Just the
that
campaign
adds that
stuff.
adds up. That
Yeah.
adds up. So I did not just mainline it. I played on heroic, and
Whoa.
my brother just beat it on legendary last night. Um, but I played on
Wow.
heroic, and I did everything on the map. I did every side objective. So that means I rescued all the soldiers. I
Mhm.
did all the outposts. I got every audio log. The only thing I
Wow.
didn't do was finish the skulls, which I will do at some
Mhm.
point. But that requires them to add mission select or
Right.
me to replay. Which Okay, so my heroic playtime, I finished with 98 point something percent of the map because of the skulls I didn't get.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I came in at about 22 hours for my
Okay.
heroic run.
All right.
Now, there's an achievement for finishing the main campaign in under 8 hours. So what I did was I started an easy mode playthrough, and I
And
am
you
on
finished all.
I'm on the final boss right now, and my playthrough is currently sitting at like 3 hours and 5 minutes. So
Wow.
you can speed
Wow.
run this game
Yeah.
very
Wow.
quickly, very quickly. A few hours. So that achievement is more than doable. And then I will only have 11 more achievements for the 100% in this game. And I'm confident I can get 10 of them. I'm not confident I can get all of them because one requires legendary with all the skulls on, which
Oh wow.
is a task. Okay, so we've you know we've clarified that you like the game. We're gonna go into a little bit deeper now. We're gonna focus specifically on the story. As someone that is new to the Halo lore and story, how did you feel coming in as a new player? Was it confusing? Did it make sense? Did they really like onboard you well enough to be like, hey, I like the story. I kind of get what's going on here. What did you think about the story? No spoilers, but just your thoughts on the story.
Okay, so first, generally about the story, I thought the story was absolutely chef's kiss. This is probably the best shooter campaign like ever, like I've ever played. And I like how I didn't need to know anything about the Halo franchise to play this game. I literally knew nothing and perfectly understood what was going on. It was like a soft reboot of the franchise, a new
Hmm.
chapter for Master Chief, and yeah, I think the post-credit scene was there. It left the door open for a sequel. But yeah, overall, I didn't feel like I was getting confused. The only parts where I got confused were the Cortana bits, but
Yep,
then
which
eventually I was able to catch on.
yeah,
But yeah,
which makes sense because they're kind of treating the story like a lot has happened since Halo 5. And if you've
exactly.
played Halo 5, it ends with um I don't know if I can spoil a 6-year-old game in Halo 5, but
Spoil it. Just go for it,
okay.
dude.
So Halo 5, so this is your spoiler alert. If you don't
Hmm.
want the spoilers of Halo 5, skip like 15, 20 seconds ahead. But Cortana basically takes over a being called the Guardian and sets out on like a galactic domination, which is basically what they reference a lot in Halo Infinite. And I was really curious. I'm like, okay, Amon won't have that context. Like, he'll
Yeah,
probably have heard of Cortana, but he'll not know like what happened with her. So
yeah,
I was really curious, like, because I don't want to go too much into any spoiler territory for the actual game, but they do reference things, but also kind of try to explain it at the same time to make sure, like, hey, if you're a new player, all you need to know is the big overview because as
exactly.
you said, it is very much a soft reboot, and I think we see that with the way this game ends. Once one cutscene in specific, particular, with the weapon talking to Chief, the way that it ends, I'm like, okay, this is a reboot, and I think you know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Um, what did you think of the Banished as an enemy? Because they were this is their second. The Halo Wars 2, the Banished was the
Hmm.
main antagonist. Halo Wars
Right.
2 is like a side game. Did you like
Hmm.
the Banished? Because this is their first like mainline entry being the main antagonist.
I mean, these are the only Halo villains I've had an interaction with, so yeah, I think they were fine. I like
Okay.
those little guys that used to say
Grunts.
funny shit when you start chasing them. Yeah, yeah.
Did I had some really good lines.
Oh yeah,
Oh my
they were
god,
hilarious.
they're hilarious. There's like if you have a melee weapon
Hmm.
and then you start attacking, the grunts can be like, "Are you still mad? Can I come out?" And I'm
Yeah,
like, "No,
they're,
no,
they're
you
they're
can't."
absolutely hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah, grunts. I think this is probably the best grunt dialogue, especially if you go back in and you want to do some of the side objectives. The propaganda towers have some of
Hmm.
the most hilarious. The propaganda towers are basically a grunt broadcasting a message, and there's like 40 of them, so each one has a different message. And I found one that was like, "Is there a Craig out there? Where's Craig? I keep hearing about this Craig guy." I'm like, 343 are such trolls.
Oh
Um,
god, yeah. But I think yeah, it's the little details that perfect the game. I think that the extra year that they had helped them iron out the kinks and had add these minor details, which just make the game perfect. You know.
mhm, absolutely. I will say that the post-credit scene is a bit different on Legendary compared to every
Oh,
other difficulty.
oh,
It's
okay.
it's kind of the same scene, but with a little more added context. So you
Right.
get a little more. If since you probably won't go play Legendary, maybe
Yeah.
YouTube that one.
I can.
But I do like how they left it open. Maybe we get a Halo 7, but they said that this is like a platform. So
Yeah.
I'm
So maybe an
expecting,
expansion or a
yeah,
DLC. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Some sort of DLC big expansion.
Exactly.
Moving away from the story though, you said you mainlined it, but you did have to interact in the open world a little bit.
Yes.
How did you find the open world? Because this is your first Halo,
Yeah.
and the change to open world from a linear campaign is really different and was probably scary for a lot of veteran players. Did
Hmm.
you find like the going out into the world for the little bit you did it fit with Halo?
See, I like how 343 sort of reinvented Halo while still keeping intact like the Halo essence, if you know what I mean. Like I think it's a great gateway for the newer generation of gamers that are used to the big open world games such as like
Hmm.
God of War and all of that. So yeah, I know some of my friends who are like diehard PlayStation fans, and
Yeah,
they literally bought a Series S to play Halo.
nice.
So yeah, and they're not even hardcore gamers. So that shows exactly like how this new reinvention of the franchise is already attracting a newer audience. I think I love the open world element in the game. I think that's um how do I say this? That's what added the more trip the newer generation is
Hmm.
ifness. You get what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. They had
Yeah,
to
yeah,
add elements in for the
exactly,
newer generation,
exactly.
and I agree with you. They really kept because there are those linear stories, especially at the
Yeah,
start of the game and the end of the game. Like if you
yeah,
start the main missions, you are stuck in the main missions for a while. But there's a good chunk where you can spend 10, 12, 15 hours in the open world doing anything you want.
yeah,
You can just explore. It's a populated world. There are enemies just hanging out, doing funny stuff. There's campfires. There's a lot of scenery, and I'm gonna intersperse some gameplay, so people will be watching while they hear us talking. But I was playing on 120 FPS mode
hmm,
for some performance because I have a TV that lets me do that. The
hmm,
only thing I will say is that there is a lot of pop in if you play on 120 in the open world. Basically, all the trees and mountain textures, like they pop in constantly if you're like flying or going really fast. I've
right.
heard this does not happen if you play it like the normal 4K 60.
Yeah,
That
I
it,
played it. I played it on 4K 60 because that's what my monitor did,
yeah,
and I don't think I noticed that. Yeah.
yeah. My friend and brother played on 4K 60, and they said that that wasn't there. I don't care about popping. I want the 120 FPS, and it ran
Yeah.
beautifully. But I'm not someone that likes open world, as you know. I'm the self-proclaimed Ubisoft hater, but I did everything in this game, man. Everything just felt like a small Halo mission. And I keep seeing people compare this game to Far Cry 6 and other Ubisoft games. And to me, the side content in this game is not like the side content in those games. My problem with Ubisoft games is a lot of it feels like filler. This does
Yeah.
not feel like filler to me. So if you go do the Banished Outposts, all 7 of them, it's basically another little tiny Halo mission. Like
Exactly.
they're like, okay, uh, you know, vehicles are being broken down at this site. We need to shut it down so they can stop taking our vehicles and making their own, making weapons and
Right.
deal them a blow. It kind of feels like you're in a war and you get context for why you're doing it. And then the audio logs all throughout really do add to the lore and the story. So for me, I love this. I'm not the open world guy, but keep this formula and just keep evolving it. Don't
Yeah.
add 9,000 things because the
Yeah.
map,
Exactly. That's
yeah.
what I thought. Like they had the perfect amount of side missions. From what I saw on the map, all the
Mhm.
labels on the map, it wasn't overcrowded. There weren't too little of it. It's just the perfect amount.
Yeah. I would agree with that because when you go into say like a Ubisoft open world game and then you go to the tower and then
Exactly.
200 little icons appear. It's like, oh my god, I'm never getting through this. Here you go to you capture a fob, a forward operating base, and then you maybe get 5 at most icons, and they're
Yeah.
all like unique stuff, like a high value target here, a banished outpost here. So like each one had a unique thing to do in every area, and the map really isn't that big. I spent a lot of time. I upgraded my grappling hook all the way, and I was soaring across mountains. I was just floating. I was Spider-Man basically. Like you can go horizontally across mountains. I got over gaps, definitely wasn't supposed to be over at that point in the game, because when I got over to the other side, the game was like, hey, return to battlefield, and then it killed me because I couldn't get back, because I was trying to go to a part of the story that I wasn't supposed to be at. So for me, the side content really enhances the game here. I would definitely recommend checking it out. You don't have to do it during the game. After you beat the main campaign, you get dropped back on Zeta Halo. You can do it all then. You can go upgrade your Spartan. You can go get all the multiplayer armors, because there are like 34 armor emblems, stuff to get. So we've talked a lot here, but I want to know just one more thing, and it's your thoughts on the main characters, specifically Master Chief, Weapon, and the pilot. Let's start with the pilot, because he's really like the first one we're introduced to in Halo Infinite.
Mhm.
What are your overall impressions of this character?
Yeah, I really like this dude. His quirkiness, and then he was just hilarious. I don't really have much to say about him because these are basically the only Halo characters I've interacted with.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Did
can't really contextualize them with like the previous Halo characters. But yeah, he was funny.
with
Yes.
with so throughout the how did you feel about his arc throughout the game? Because we do get he starts in one
Yeah.
place, and where he
Hmm.
starts is very different than where he ends. did
Yeah.
you did you like that progression? Because I've seen mixed reaction to him online.
I didn't really mind it. I like how we sympathized with him at the beginning. He
Hmm.
lost his family and he was stuck on that ship for a while. Then he finds Master Chief, and then Master Chief drags him into the entire mess. And yeah, I didn't really mind it. I didn't see a major flaw in it.
Okay.
Did you?
No, I like his. Like I said, you sympathize with him right away
Yeah.
from the first time you're introduced to him, and then I think there's there's one scene in particular about midway through the game where you're like, oh wow, like that was a pretty good
Yeah.
reveal about the character, and from there on he kind of takes a back seat. Maybe they could have done more with him in the second half of the game, but overall I like him. Um, we're gonna go to Master Chief next and save Weapon for last. I know you barely touched any of the other Halos, but Master Chief, for me, this is his story. This is a soft reboot, as we've said multiple times now, but in Halo 4 and 5, they really kind of got
Yeah.
away from the Master Chief that we knew in the original trilogy. They had him talking a little too much. And I feel like in this game, he talks the perfect amount. All his lines
Yeah.
have impact and weight behind them, right from the opening ones that you see in the trailer. Like, all I got is this pistol with one bullet, and he's like, it's enough. Or the mission change, it always does, or whatever Steve Downs is saying. So
Yeah.
how did you feel about Master Chief as a newcomer? Are you enamored to this character? Do you like him?
Oh, I love Master Chief. I think this game was his redemption arc. After what I heard from Halo 5, he wasn't really the main character there.
Hmm.
You're shuffling between like two
Locke.
different playable
Locke
characters.
was the other one. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, this was his redemption arc. It's safe to say, like, just put the Halo is dead phrase to bed.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I hear. I believe it's Cog. Shout out Iron Lords, who says the king is back.
Yep. Yeah, literally, the king is back. Like from what I've heard from Halo 1, 2, and 3, that's exactly what Master Chief sounds like.
Hmm.
What I saw in Halo Infinite, that's exactly what he sounds like. So yeah.
So last talking point before we get to our scale of recommend, skip, whatever. Um, Weapon. We're not gonna talk too much about her character arc, but how do you feel about Weapon? Because I love this character. Shout out Jen Taylor, who played Cortana, Weapon, and Halsey all in this game. Uh,
Oh, same
absolutely,
voice actor. Oh,
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. Okay.
You can't tell, right? 3 different
Yeah,
voices. Yeah, she
exactly.
very talented. I love this character. She was cracking me up a lot of the story.
Yeah, same, exactly. Like when you're just shooting up those grunts and all of them, she throws in a funny dialogue in there. Hilarious. Loved her character. I don't really know what else to say about her character
Yeah,
without
it's hard to
spoiling
talk
anything.
about with her. Yeah,
Yeah.
listen,
Oh,
guys, if
mm,
you want more context to why you're gonna love this character, you really do need to play the game.
yeah.
I mean, and with that, I think Aman, if you had to tell them, should they buy this game, should they wait for a sale, or should they skip it altogether? What would you say? And by
Oh, definitely
buy,
go pick it up. Definitely.
definitely
Easy,
go
easy
pick it
buy.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and by buy, Game
Worth
Pass
it.
counts. Game Pass
Yeah.
counts
Game
as buy.
Pass.
Absolutely. I'm right there with you. This is you can't miss this. If you own an Xbox or a PC, have Game Pass, you need to play this game. This
Yeah.
is, man, we have our Game of the Year conversations coming up, and I'm really, debating where this one's gonna fall.
Exactly.
It's right
Literally
up
the
there.
same. Yeah.
I know the Metacritic is 87. Do you feel that's a fair score?
No, it should be a lot higher. I feel it
Oh,
should be a lot higher.
you think it
Like
should be?
taking into account
Wow.
the campaign and the multiplayer, it should be a
Mhm.
lot higher. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Wow. You really like this game. That
Yeah.
okay. I like
Yeah.
that. I like that, Amon. You because 87, I believe, is the same thing Halo 4 got, and I do not like
Mhm.
Halo 4.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't. I know other people like Halo 4, like Luke, Lore, and Ains that I was speaking with on Season Gaming a few weeks ago, but that game's not for me. Halo 5, I think, was 82 or 84 or something. So this is undoubtedly 343's best Halo.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
with that, guys, we're gonna wrap it up. Aman, thanks for joining me. I'm glad you like Halo. Please let everyone know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at Amon _ M05.
And you can find me at the Muffin Mon. That's a 1 instead of an I and an O instead of an A. Everyone have a good week. Happy holidays, and go play Halo Infinite.